You had also, though, talked about land-grant universities moving more toward interest in research in sustainable agriculture. Do you see this as a very strong movement?
Well, it's difficult to characterize. I think it has to be kept in perspective. And my benchmark is the 1980 period, when there was virtually no targeted interdisciplinary research on low-input organic systems. It'd be very difficult to find any. I looked and I really couldn't find any. Warren Saw's work at Mead perhaps being the exception. So if you compare it to that, then there has been indeed an enormous increase. But in absolute terms, it is still relatively small.
Yes.
I don't have budget figures, but in connection with the federal program, just that alone, the LISA budget this year I think is $6.7 million. And I'm not quite sure what the exact total federal appropriation is for agricultural research and education, but it must be around $1.5 billion, somewhere in that range.
Yes.
Of course, some of the officials in USDA believe that they're spending millions and millions of dollars on this kind of research.
Already.
A matter of dispute, obviously. It depends an awful lot on how you define it, whether it's really interdisciplinary. It doesn't help, for example, to at least in my view, it doesn't help to say that research on soil compaction is sustainable agriculture research if the research has to do with solving the problem through the development of a deeper chisel type cultivation implement. So rather than restoring the tilth of the soil through rotation. So is that sustainable agriculture research or not? And I guess we'll continue to argue about those matters. But at least the word sustainable agriculture has become quite commonplace, and it has been embraced and endorsed by almost every organization, including those in the agrochemical industry, just within the past 2 or 3 years. And in some ways there are some problems and some dangers in that, because the word, which desperately needs better definition, has become, I think, increasingly unclear just in the past 2 or 3 years.
As more and more co-opted, perhaps?
Well, to some degree I think it has, definitely.
I remember speaking of the budget at the conference in 1988 downtown at the Ag Building. The budget, I think someone referred to what was allotted to the LISA program as being not a drop in the bucket, but a vapor. Was it you who said that? It was just
no, that sounds a little bit too dramatic for me, but that's not a bad way to describe it. It certainly isn't a large amount of money, but as you know, it has attracted an enormous amount of interest.
Yes.
I can think of no federal programs that have engendered that sort of a response and enthusiasm for so little money. Rarely has so little money done so much for so many. It's really been a remarkable story.
It's a remarkable story on the subject, and it's a remarkable story of the recognition from elsewhere on the subject of sustainable agriculture. And I'm coming now to ask you about the Macarthur Award, which came to you as a bolt out of the blue, I understand?
Well, they all do. You get a phone call. You don't know you've been nominated. Don't know you're under consideration at all. So it's a very shocking kind of an experience. But
you just picked up the
now
phone
that the shock is past, I recognize it as an honor, and very fortunate and happy, obviously, to have received it.
And but literally, the phone just rings and you pick it up and someone says...
It's like the old television
Dr.
show.
Youngberg? Really?
Yes.
Well, I think that it was certainly well deserved, but I confess to a little prejudice.